Greetings. So today I'm going to try something different. I'm actually going to, I recently had some really cool experiences where I learned the power of the I Am affirmation. I'm actually going to go through A Course in Miracles. I'm going to continue with the Manual for Teachers. And I am going to just say I am affirmations that correspond to each sentence. So instead of reading the sentences individually, I'm going to basically process the sentence and then do I am affirmations. All right. I am perfectly repenting. I am perfectly the answer. I am perfectly whole. I am perfectly active. I am perfectly remaining the Son of God. I am perfectly certain of who I am. I am perfectly communicating who I am. I am perfectly rhythmic and harmonious. I am perfectly learning from all teachers of God. I am perfectly remaining at peace with who I am. I am perfectly dwelling in this now moment. I am perfectly facilitating beautiful opportunities for all beings. I am perfectly healthy in mind. I am perfectly safe in my mind. I am perfectly healthy in my body. I am perfectly certain that my mind is healthy. I am perfectly trusting all the gifts that have been given to me. I am perfectly giving truth to all beings. I am perfectly receiving the benefits of this gift of life. I am perfectly giving benefits to all who experience life. I am perfectly accepting responsibility for who I am. I am perfectly curious about who I am. I am perfectly real. I am perfectly the perfect solution. I am perfectly who I am. I am perfectly unique in who I am. I am perfectly whole and healed. I am perfectly remaining in a field of peaceful authenticity. I am perfectly certain of who I am. I am perfectly secure in my divine masculinity. I am perfectly secure in my divine femininity. I am perfectly secure when I pause and commune with natural wellness. I am perfectly holy. I am breathing perfectly. I am perfectly receiving gifts from all beings. I am perfectly sure of my identity. I am perfectly home in God. I am perfectly a home to God. I am perfectly God's treasure. I am perfectly giving God's treasures. I am perfectly radiating God's treasures. I am perfectly magnetizing God's treasures. I am perfectly attracting God's fullness. I am perfectly expressing God's fullness. I am perfectly aware that a full presence is guaranteed with my relationship to life. I'm so grateful that I am able to give all perfectly. I am grateful that I am not a body. I am free, for I am still as God created me. I am grateful to be on A Course in Miracles workbook lesson 208 today. I am grateful to read that it says, I am not a body, I am free, for I am still as God created me. I'm grateful that lesson 208 refers to lesson 188, where it says, the peace of God is shining in me now. So I can say it like, I am perfectly radiating the peace of God. I can say, I am perfectly gravitating the peace of God. I'm grateful that I can read. It says, I will be still and let the earth be still along with me. I am still with the earth. I am moving with the earth. And in that stillness, we will find the peace of God. I am perfectly moving with the earth and the peace of God. I am perfectly still with the earth and the peace of God. And in that stillness, we will find the peace of God. It is within my heart, which witnesses to God Himself. I am understanding the power of the sun. I am teaching the power of the sun. I am not a body, I am free, for I am still as God created me. I am using my body perfectly. I am releasing my body perfectly. I am experiencing a body absent of suffering. I am experiencing an energy that's radiating love. I'm curious about heart health. I am perfectly aware that my heart is something beautiful. I am perfectly aware that my heart is something that is intelligent. I am perfectly curious about the relationship between my heart and the heart of seemingly other beings. I'm curious about the nature of life. I'm curious about how the moon knows how to circle the earth so perfectly, rhythmically. I'm curious about how the earth and the other planets know how to circle the sun so perfectly and rhythmically. I'm curious about who I am. I'm curious about all the factors who made me. I am curious about what I learned about Jesus Christ. I'm curious about his real name. I'm curious about who I am in relationship to the presence of that energy. I'm curious about freedom. I'm curious about your reason for smiling. I'm curious about the cause of your kindness. I'm curious about the depth of your truth. I'm curious about the essence of your aroma. Yep. I'm grateful for your presence. I said I am, that I am, that I am, I am, I am. Yep. Yes, this is a beautiful life. And I am grateful to fully participate. Let's read some things that I've written. Or maybe let's write some things. Let's read first. Yeah, that's right. Yup. You know, I'm curious about the tilt of the earth, you know. I'm curious about why that happens. Yeah, I'm grateful for the Course in Miracles. I'm grateful for all the planets. I'm grateful for all of the stars. I'm grateful for all of space. I'm grateful that I learned that our solar system is actually orbiting a central space within the greater experience of space. And it takes around, I think it was like 230 million years for our solar system to like have a cycle of its orbit. I'm curious about how these numbers are induced. I'm also curious about the relationship between internal knowledge and external knowledge, because sometimes, you know, I'm aware that everything is inside, and at the same time, sometimes it's like for instance, people who believe in flat earth, you know, it's like empirically people can say that they're wrong based on different observable data, but internally everything, from what we understand, within flat earth people who believe in flat earth, you know, everything that they believe, you know, it's like it's internal to them. And like, if no one ever told me that it takes 230 million years for our solar system to gravitate around this central space in outer space, I would not have known that, you know. I wouldn't have guessed that either. You know, even, you know, it's like, if I'm gonna be completely honest, as far as things that, like, you know, where I'm at right now in the United States, I can't even observe a lot of the stars with my eyes. And most of the times I'm not having dreams about stars. And then even if I did have that experience about having dreams about stars, and it's like, how do I make that connection between what's happening in the dream world to, you know, knowledge? I'm grateful for the branch of epistemology, but even then, it's like, I mean, I guess the best things that we can look out for are, you know, I'm grateful for my brothers and sisters, you know, and everyone's unique contribution. You know, I'm grateful that knowledge is a beautiful process. You know, but there are certain things, like, I think the sun, you know, from where I'm at right now, I can observe that the sun gets to its highest point. You know, I can observe that the sun goes down. I can observe the sun appears to rise. I don't exactly know why it's doing that. You know, I'm grateful that I read a book that says the sun shines for you. But I know that the sun has quite a lot of energy, you know. But yeah, I'm grateful that I can observe that the sun has a kind of relationship to seasons. You know, I can observe that this is the cold season right now here in South Florida. You know, I'm curious about, what are clouds, you know? And I'm just grateful, you know, these are fun, you know, these are fun little experiences of life. But I'm curious about who I truly am, you know, and, you know, I'm grateful, you know, I'm grateful that it's such a prosperous query. I'm grateful that it's such a prosperous exploration. And, you know, I'm grateful that that I'm here existing, and I'm grateful that I'm in perfect harmony with life. So yes, this is a I am session, and, you know, some intuitive thinking. But yeah, you know, I'm grateful to be back after a couple of days. And yeah, I feel so prosperous and healthy. And yeah, I'm loving life. So peace and tranquility, blissful awakenings, grand risings, grand settings, blissful rest, peace, tranquility. This is Baba, JJ Flows. All right, we're good.